This is Drew Canoli of FitLife.tv. You're listening to Justin and Kate of Extreme Health Radio. Remember, we're in this together.
Welcome to Extreme Health Radio. Extreme Health Radio.
Where natural solutions to almost every health condition are out there. Join us on our journey to find them.
Now here are your hosts,
Broadcasting from sunny Southern California around the world.
Justin and Kate Stellman.
Okay, I have to say, every time I hear that, I feel like I should be on stage and lightning bolts coming up off, pyrotechnics going off.
It's a little dramatic, huh? Little showy.
It's a little showy, yeah. I don't understand what the deal is with that. But
man.
I want to thank you guys all for joining us. This is extremehealthradio.com. And this is extremehealthradio.com / what is it, 162?
162.
162. So if you want to go to that show page, you can check out the show notes eventually, as well as you can make comments about anything that Sid talks about. And we have a great show lined up for you today. We're going to be traveling to the great state of Hawaii.
Nice.
We just spoke to him a little bit before the call, and we could hear the animals in the background, and it sounds like he's in the middle of a rainforest.
Middle of paradise.
He may not be, but it sounds like it. So we're going to be introducing Sid to you, and we'll be talking about sleep in just a minute. And if you'd like to follow our show and what we're doing, you can always follow us on Facebook. We'd love to have you do that. Just go to extremehealthradio.com / Facebook, and you can sign up or click the like button, and you'll be off and running. And for reference, today's Thursday, October 14th, 2013. And if you would like to support our work and you make purchases on Amazon this holiday season or anytime really, you can do that. It's a great way to support us. And you can go to extremehealthradio.com / Amazon. Anytime you make a purchase, doesn't have to be health related. And that would be a great way to support us. So please consider doing that if you like what we're doing. And Kate, we've got some great guests coming up, as always.
I know.
Adam Bergstrom.
I know.
And we'll be talking to him tomorrow about chronobiotic nutrition.
Nice.
And that's a really, really fascinating concept where people eat food at certain times.
Right.
So he's been able to determine that each organ has an optimal time that it works at and functions at, as well as each food, depending on the angle of the light that hits it during the day, has an optimal time to be eaten.
That's such an interesting concept.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Solar nutrition. And then we have Dr. Larry Lytle, and he's going to be talking about energy medicine of the future and healing with light. That's always good. Mm-hmm. I like that.
It is the energy. Yeah, it is the future.
I've got nothing against light. And we've got Chris Kaler after that. We're going to be traveling deep into the heart of the 14th dimension and getting some quantum healing. He's an amazing guy. Chris Kaler, KEHLER.net. But today, we're really excited to have Sydney Ross Singer back on again. He was originally on our show, I'm not sure when it was, but it was episode number 119, if you're interested in that. And he is he's a medical anthropologist and runs the Institute for the Study of Culturogenic Disease. And his website is killerculture.com, as well as selfstudycenter.org. And he's the author of a few books: Dressed to Kill, Get It Up, Get It Off, Get It Out, and The Doctor Is Out. And today we're going to be talking about some sleep issues that I have read recently that 40% of all people have some kind of sleep issue. So we're going to be talking to Sid. And Sid, you are in the great state of Hawaii, is that correct?
Yes, I am. For the past 20 years, I've been living in Hawaii and living very close to nature. You can hear the koki frogs finishing their nighttime serenade as the sun rises here right now.
Oh, I love it. It sounds so peaceful.
Sounds like
it is.
Sounds like you're at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Sounds fake. It's so nice.
A little more peaceful in Disneyland.
A little, yeah, like the real thing.
So what island are you on again? I forget. Was that Kauai?
No, I'm on the Big Island, on the Windward side, on the Hilo side of the Big Island, and it's a rural, really laid back place to live, just off the grid, living with lots of animals and nature.
Oh, wow. Sounds just amazing. Mm-hmm. And so are you guys feeling fall a little bit this time of year yet, or do you not really feel that?
We feel seasons. There's the rainy season and the drier season, and some of the trees defoliate, but most of them don't. Some of them are from the southern hemisphere, so like Brazil, a lot of Brazilian species here, so they have like a whole nother cycle in the northern hemisphere. So but we do feel seasons. It gets a few degrees cooler, but most of the time it's 65 to 75, nighttime to daytime.
Wow, that's
not too shabby, is it?
So
that's why a lot of people are moving here. Too many people. I mean, it's in the limelight now, and the infrastructure is not ready. We're still like we're still like with 1970s infrastructure on the Big Island. So it's one of those places that everybody's now wanting to go to, and it's not ready for people.
Right.
But, we got to get ready.
Yeah, no, that's great. So what got you originally, at least lately, interested in the sleep issue?
Well, it's not so recent. I wrote Get It Up, which is one of my more provocative titles, but it's actually about raising your bed. I had a hard time figuring out the title for that book because it described our research in our migraine relief project that we did in about the year 2000. People spend a third of their time sleeping, and they don't think about what impact that has on their lives. But it's a profound impact. The way that you sleep really affects your health. And we did a study on that, and we found other connections. It affects so many diseases. This is actually it affects more people than even the bra and breast cancer link that we came up with in our book Dress to Kill.
Really?
This one is it's so profound, but it's almost too simple that people figure it can't be that simple.
What's interesting is recently I just kind of had a flash. I don't know when it was, about just a couple months ago. And Kate and I, do all these things every day. We sit in the sauna. We do this biomat. We take these astaxanthin and all these supplements and all this stuff. And then it just occurred to me one day that the thought occurred to me that said, there's nothing that we can take that would be better than sleep. Like nothing can mimic the power of sleep. Mm-hmm. There's no supplement you can take, no matter what it is, or practice that you could do that would be as powerful as sleep. Because sometimes it'll be late at night and I'll think, I haven't done my rebounding yet, but nothing is important as getting sleep. There's no comparison, is there?
It's very important, but that's on the other hand, there's a whole bunch of other issues that relate to actually gravity. Well, there's a lot of things we can talk about with sleep. Maybe we'll ease into the subject by talking about simple things that you can think about. Like, what are you wearing when you're asleep? If you're in bed wearing, wearing clothing as opposed to being naked, that's one issue. Like, what should you sleep in? Mm-hmm. Now, if you're in cotton sheets versus polyester, I mean, there's certain types of sheets if it's synthetic and you move around, you can create, static electricity issues and you get very uncomfortable. I mean, like when you wear polyester pants, your hairs stand on end with static electricity sometimes. So you want your sheets to be like cotton and non-static and non-clinging. And, if you wear, it's probably best to be naked when you're sleeping to let your body breathe and be free of any constriction, because when you start wearing clothing like pajamas or something like that, as you move around, you can strangulate parts of your body and your circulation. So, you got to be careful what you wear to bed. You certainly don't want to wear a bra to bed, and you don't want to wear underwear to bed. Anything tight or elastic, constrictive, you don't want to be keeping on your body for all that time, plus all day. Your nighttime is a good time to rest from all of those things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so just starting on that level. Then you can go into what's in your sheets. Are you using fabric softener with lots of smells and perfumes, so that when you're on your pillow and sleeping in your bed, you're like breathing in all of these these chemicals that are coating all of your sheets? It's like, I know sometimes when I go to, if you go to a hotel and they have, I don't know if they do it anymore, but because I haven't traveled that much, but there were times when I would travel and you just smell the detergent in the pillows and the pillowcases and everything, and I was sensitive to that. I didn't want to have to smell a perfume all night while I'm sleeping.
No kidding.
Yeah, so you get, you're breathing in all that all night, and, no wonder some people get irritated by the morning, and so that's another issue is, what are you bathing, washing your lawn, what kind of detergent are you using, and what are you smelling all night? Mm-hmm. But then you get to an issue that is really almost never talked about, but it's implicit in everything, which is the issue of how do you place your body? Should you sleep on your back, on your side, or on your belly? Is it okay? Should you be flat, or should you have your head elevated? Mm-hmm. And that's the issue that we researched. And it's actually the way we fell upon this information was sort of accidentally. I was one night I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and as I awoke and sat up quickly, I felt a little dizzy, and mm-hmm. I went to the bathroom, and I was a little lightheaded, and I had to hold on for a second to the handrail or something in the bathroom, and then I was okay. And then I researched what that was, and of course it's called orthostatic hypotension, and what that means in medical terms is just when you stand up, you get dizzy.
Okay. Yeah. They have all these terms for that, don't they?
Yeah. Because what happens is when you're lying down, your blood pressure is much different than when you're standing up. Uh-huh. And because you're in a horizontal position versus vertical, and I'll explain the significance of that. But your blood pressure is a lot lower. And as soon as you get up, if you rise up too quickly before you're really ready for it, which is what I did. I woke up and then said, I got to go to the bathroom, and I just got up too quickly. And what happens is, your head goes up, and the gravity immediately starts pulling the blood down, and your brain just gets, the fluid, it gets low pressure for a little while. And that causes the dizziness. And then your heart pounds in response, and it increases the pressure, and your brain gets the pressure it needs again, and you're not dizzy anymore. So it takes like a few seconds for your heart to respond. It's a pure pressure issue. And that experience just made me reflect on the profundity of that. When we're lying down versus standing up, our bodies have a completely different pressure relationship with gravity. And the reason this is important for your brain is that when you're standing up, your head is above your heart, right? And as the heart is beating, it has to pump blood up against gravity to your brain. Mm-hmm. And gravity resists that, of course. And so your heart has to pump sufficiently hard to overcome the forces of gravity to get it not only to the brain, but through all the capillaries in the brain that the blood oozes out fluid into, and that becomes cerebral spinal fluid that then circulates through the whole brain. Then it comes out and part of the brain back into venules that drain, and then comes down veins in your neck. So the brain is a huge resistor to the pressure of blood, and so the heart has to compensate for all that. And the brain controls its own circulation too. It can open and close various blood vessels in the brain to give more blood to parts of the brain than others, depending on what you're using. Like if you're thinking a lot, that part of your brain, your frontal lobe, may get more blood circulation. And they see these things when they look at brain scans, where the blood flow is going and stuff like that. Wow. Well, anyway, so when you're standing up, you have gravity resisting the flow. And then it assists the drainage, because the blood that's up there is going to come back down through the veins. So you have a system where gravity is affecting the delivery of blood to the brain, and from the brain back to the heart. Okay. Now you lie down. When you lie down, you already feel, you can tell in your head, you suddenly feel head pressure, right? When you lie down. If you immediately, from a standing up position, would lie straight on the floor, your head would get red, and you'd feel pressure because your heart's still working on a higher pressure. Right. But there are pressure receptors in the arteries in your neck, your carotid arteries, that respond to the extra, when they get extra pressure, they expand, and there are receptors that can detect that expansion, and they have nerves that then feed back into your heart and reduce your heart rate and the power of the pump. So you basically don't want to get a stroke and blow a blood vessel in your head. So what happens is your neck has a way of detecting the pressure, lowering the heart pressure, the blood pressure, so that your brain doesn't explode and blow a blood vessel and get a stroke. Okay. So that takes a little time, and then your pressure goes down, and your whole system at night now has no gravity difference between the brain and the heart. So the brain, the gravity is not resisting this pump to the head. So as you're lying down, the brain is just pumping it right into the heart is pumping the blood right into the brain on the same plane. So there's no gravity resistance. And then when it goes through this resistor of the brain, it has to flow back to the heart, but there's no gravity assistance. So at night, as you can see, your head's pressure builds because you put your head down, and it's on the same level as the heart now. And that's why your head face turns red. You actually can see your neck veins pop out when you lie down, if you're flat, because of the pooling of blood between your brain and your heart. The heart can only suck it in so fast. And if your head is on the same level, there's no gravity assistance, which is a very important assistance. It's a very important force in our lives.
Right.
And that's, by the way, this is why they have beds in hospitals that raise the head of the bed, okay, adjustable beds, because there are many conditions where you want to control brain pressure, like after brain surgery, thyroid surgery, any head and neck surgery. You don't want to have the head down because there'll be too much pressure and you'll bleed. So you want to have the head up. And so they already know in medicine this effect of gravity. And they used to have, if you looked at old books, I have a lot of old medical books, like from the turn of the century, last century, and in the 50s and so forth. You can see the change in medical philosophy with time. But the older books, like show from the 50s, they'll show children in maternity ward, delivery rooms in hospitals. They'll all have them on elevated little beds. And that's a really good thing because it keeps the brain from getting too much pressure. And now there was a time then they stopped doing that. They just stopped doing that without any good reason. And somebody suggested maybe they need more pressure in their head. They're not getting enough brain pressure, so we'll lower the beds and we shouldn't be recommending head elevation, which they used to. In fact, it was called the Fowler's position. Fowler''S. Fowler's position was a 60-degree head of bed elevation. And that's, there's a semi-Fowler's, which is 30 degree. Now, it just so happens, though, that modern medicine ignores all of that, doesn't really do a lot of that, although nurses still know about it. But there's so many conditions that you can prevent excessive brain pressure, which we believe is causing a lot of problems. People are sleeping too flat, and the result is their brains are getting too much pressure, and they're stagnant. They're not flowing properly. There's no circulation. The circulation requires a little bit of an incline to allow a gravity flow to occur. The gravity will help drain, and then the heart compensates with a little more pressure, so you get circulation going. If it's flat, if you're lying flat, your head gets too much pressure, including your eyes and your sinuses and everything. So in the morning when you wake up, you're congested. Your sinuses are congested. Your eyes have the highest pressure they have all day. So for glaucoma, this is a way of treating glaucoma, by the way, and that's known, and preventing glaucoma. Obviously, they never think of that side of it. They just think once you got it, you know.
What do you mean is a treatment for glaucoma being flat or not being flat?
Elevating the head of your bed. And what we did was there's so many conditions related to this, and that we think are related to this. If you look at all of these conditions, attention deficit disorder, Alzheimer's, sleep apnea, migraines, stroke, glaucoma, all of these and more, much more, impotence, a whole bunch of other conditions. The brain affects everything, right? So when you take a brain and you give it too much pressure, and you can make it stagnant, so it's not really circulating very well, then by the morning, your brain is hypoxic, right? It's low in oxygen, and it relies on sugar more than anything. The brain, if it's low on sugar, that's why when people get they're hypoglycemic, they start getting weird, right? That's because your brain really needs sugar. So by the morning, the brain is been high pressure, low circulation, low oxygen, low sugar, and it starts to dysfunction. And that's why people wake up, they're groggy, they're congested, their eyes are baggy, they're puffy, their faces are puffy. It even makes your teeth puffy, and I'm sure this contributes to tooth decay and gum disease, just because of the fact that all of these tissues every day are congested. And then when you stand, including the brain, and since the brain as the central nervous system is responsible for all your functions and modulating them with hormones and everything, okay? The brain is the central nervous system. If you're going to impair the function of your brain, it's going to have wide-reaching impacts. Depending upon the person, it might have different impacts. So some people it might affect their respiratory center. Mm-hmm. The respiratory center is like between your ears and your brainstem, and then it can affect your breathing, which is why people get apnea. Mm-hmm. And it also causes sudden infant death syndrome. And that's why the recommendation for SIDS has been backsleeping. I have to explain something else now about pressure in the head, because they've already studied this stuff. This is in space medicine, though. There's a field of medicine called space medicine. And in this field, they're worried about zero gravity. And I discovered this because I asked myself a question when I was doing my research. I was thinking, okay, if we're right on this, and if gravity is so important that to help the brain drain of fluid, basically, then you'd imagine in a zero gravity environment, that's what basically we have when the heart and the head are on the same plane. It's zero gravity between the two of them. So if you were in a zero gravity environment like space, you'd imagine they'd have these same problems. So I looked it up, and boom, there's a whole field that studies this. And they actually have these problems in space. They get migraines, they get glaucoma, they get ear pressure, they get brain pressure like crazy. They know that in zero gravity, fluid shifts to the head. And that's because gravity isn't there to help it drain from the head. So one of the biggest problems of space travel is overcoming the gravity issue, because they'd have to have a suit that sucks it out of your head somehow, and that's hard. Yeah. You can't put pressure on your head because it's a solid, skull. You can put pressure on the legs to pump, like when airplane pilots go into a high gravity, like a turn, something when they make a fast turn, or they're like pushed back with 3 Gs back into their chair. What ends up happening is, or like when a rocket takes off, your blood goes down to your legs. So they have suits that squeeze their legs to keep the blood up in their head. Otherwise, they pass out. But the reverse problem is when you're in zero gravity. Now the blood's going into the head. And how do you get it out of the head? And that's a problem. So that's going to be the biggest problem with space travel. That's what causes, so they know this, and they simulate zero gravity by having people lie flat on Earth. Wow. And they study what this does to people. That's amazing. So long-term space travel research is having you lie flat to simulate zero gravity. Wow. So what we did was we actually we thought about we come into break soon. Maybe I'll save the rest of the story. Oh, yeah. You have to do a break?
Yeah, we actually have to we're a couple minutes behind on a break. Yeah, let's do that. We're with Sid Singer. His website is killerculture.com, and we'll dig deeper into this subject. Very, very fascinating subject, and we'll dig deeper right after this break. Kate and I have had our sauna for about a year now, I'd say, when we first got it from Phil Wilson. And it's an incredible machine. We use ours about every single day. Kate sits in about 20 minutes, and I sit in there about for a half hour. Usually watch a documentary, and it's extremely relaxing. It's really, really incredible machine. And if you go to extremehealthradio.com/sauna, you can learn all about it. We did an entire hour interview with Phil Wilson. You can check that out. You can look at the pictures of us with it. You can watch videos on that page. It helps you to sleep really, really well. You can lose a lot of weight with it. You can burn, I think, around 600 calories in about 20 minutes or so. It improves your skin, increases circulation all over the body, and circulation is critical for your health. You can prevent and reverse diseases with it. If you have a cold or flu, it's incredible. It heats you down to the core. It heats 4 to 6 inches inside your body, so it's really incredible. And a lot of people use it for cancer as well. So if you have any kind of incurable, quote, disease, you can use it for that. And Dr. Shade is the foremost authority on detoxification. And listen to what he says about it.
How do I detoxify from plastics? I mean, you guys are using a sauna, and what does a sauna do for us? A sauna is great, but it's moving a number of different toxins. Remember, we talked about the mice that if you put PCBs in there, then that made the mercury all that much worse. And sweating moves out a lot of plastics, volatiles, fat-based toxins. It's really good at moving those out and sweating those out. So that's how you're getting those out, and those are contributing to this synergistic soup inside the body. And so that's why they're good, is they're taking out a bunch of the different things in the soup.
And Daniel Vitalis, one of our favorite guests. What do you have to say about the sauna?
When you go into the sauna, like a far infrared sauna like you discussed, your body goes into a deep relaxation mode, and your sympathetic nervous system shuts down and your parasympathetic nervous system turns on. And when that's active, that's the nervous system, part of your nervous system that's active when you meditate. That becomes active, and your detoxification pathways open up wide. Why is this important? It's important because when you go running and you sweat, you're not necessarily eliminating very much toxicity from your body. But when you sweat in the sauna, you eliminate a lot of toxicity from your body. So sweating in a relaxed state is how we eliminate. The other thing is that what's wonderful about the sauna is that it puts you in a parasympathetic nervous system response, like as if you were meditating. So it's almost a hack. It's like a trick to get yourself into a meditative, relaxed state, to decompress stress, to reverse the effects of stress, and to get your body eliminating deep, deep toxicity that's stored in your body fat, because it can come out in the oils of your skin. So I think, sauna is one of the most crucial detoxification, really health practices that we could take on, especially in this era of heavy toxicity, particularly fat-soluble toxins.
The sauna is really, really great. They offer payment plans because if you buy it through PayPal, it's 100% secure. You don't even need a PayPal account. I think you could do a payment plan through PayPal. It's got low EMF electromagnetic fields coming off of it. It's portable, so that means you don't have to knock down a wall in your house. You can just move it from room to room. It sets up in about 2 to 5 minutes. It's super easy to clean. All you got to do is wipe it down when you're done and wipe the neck down. And it produces energy and heat inside very, very evenly throughout the whole machine. All you have to do is sit in there for about 15 minutes a day. And the great thing I like about it too is it requires zero preheating. So you turn it on and you're starting to get warm and you're starting to detoxify with that far infrared light almost immediately. So it's really great. It comes with a 1-year warranty. It's about $990 plus $25 shipping. And that's really, really a good deal, because if you look at most of the regular saunas out there, they are in the $2,000 to $4,000 range. So this is really, really a good deal. So check it out, extremehealthradio.com/sauna.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
Well, we were just having an interesting conversation with Mr. Sid Singer from killerculture.com. Make sure to check out his website as well as his books, too, because he's putting out some really unique information that I think is really fascinating and stuff that just not a lot of people are talking about.
Well, when you think about sleep, you don't think about stuff like space travel and gravity and strokes. I mean, all these things that, Yeah,
it's fascinating.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and so just as the lady said, don't forget to follow us on Facebook. We'd love to have you join our community there on Facebook, and it's growing on a regular basis, so it's really a lot of fun to interact with you guys. So make sure to do that, as well as don't forget to check out that sauna too. We love it. Love that sauna. If you're interested in that, check that out. And I think before the break, we were talking about some fascinating information, Sid Singer, about some studies that you were just about ready to get into.
Yeah, well, I was telling you, we wanted to test our theory that head elevation was related to migraines, head position. And the theory that we came up with was, migraines have been around a long time, and people have been trying to deal with migraines forever. And medicine says it really doesn't know what causes migraines. They know what triggers migraines, but they really don't understand what a migraine is. And my way of looking at the body is to think of it as that most of the time when our body has a reaction to something, that it's a defense mechanism. It's like a fever is a defense mechanism. Mm-hmm. It helps your body fight off an infection. Throwing up, nausea and vomiting are defense mechanisms to get bad things out of your intestines and stomach. Mm-hmm. Diarrhea, the same thing. Coughing, sneezing. These are responses to problems, and unfortunately, medicine often gives us something to suppress those things. They call them symptoms of disease instead. So they'll give you cough suppressants and something to get rid of the fever and all that. So we were wondering, our different philosophy, could migraines actually be a defense mechanism? And when you look at what is a migraine, well, it's a severe headache that occurs in the morning, okay? And things that occur in the morning, you should first thing is wonder if was that something that was caused by something that happened overnight. Mm-hmm. And in a migraine, the blood vessels in the neck open up, and the brain gets a lot of pressure as blood basically is forced through the head, through the brain. And now this causes the pressure and all of that is very uncomfortable and causes pain and all this. But after a migraine, people feel better. And research shows that migraines are actually protective against Alzheimer's and some other diseases. So migraines, some other researchers actually thought they may be protective, and just like we were thinking. But we had a theory why. And what it is that it's a brain flush. That if you're down all night and your brain is congested and it's low oxygen, low sugar, and it's, you're starting to get apnea or whatever other problems, before you get these problems, your body wants to have a way of getting fresh blood into your brain. But if you're lying down flat and you're asleep, there's no way it's going to happen easily. So, what it does is, it does a brain flush, and it opens up. This is like a last-ditch defense mechanism to wake you up and get fresh blood in the brain, because the only way to get fresh blood is to push it through. So it opens up these neck arteries, and you just start getting this. Your brain gets an exchange of new fluid to get out the old. And it usually makes people wake up and sit up and pay attention to their brain circulation. And we figured, okay, if that's the case, if lying too flat every night and is getting people congested in the brain, that causes this cleansing mechanism called a migraine, we should be able to prevent that if people slept elevated and didn't get the congestion in the first place. And that's what we tried. And we had about 100 volunteers sleep who were migraineurs. These were chronic migraineurs who all of their life were taking migraine medication. And nothing was helping with these people. They would suffer and on and on. And about 70% of them had a positive result from head elevation. A large percentage of them stopped getting migraines. It's like the first time in their lives. And some of them remembered that back when they had a hiatal hernia, which is when the esophagus comes back through to the stomach, the tube that leads to the stomach, there's a hole that it goes through the diaphragm, and sometimes that gets herniated and it causes indigestion and pain. And that's a hiatal hernia. And if to treat that, doctors recommend people sleep with their head elevated. And they
how long was the study for? Do you know?
Say that again?
How long was the study for?
Oh, our migraine relief project study? Yeah. We had people do this for a month.
For a month, okay.
But they felt the results within a day or two.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Okay.
Oh, you won't believe. I'm telling you, this is the kind of thing you got to try to believe to believe it and see the effects. It'll blow you away. I swear to God, this is amazing.
So would you recommend people get those types of beds that sit up like that a little bit?
Well, I'll give you the recommendations in a minute, because there are a lot of ways you can adjust your bed. But I want to talk about some other aspects of this that are really important, which is your position in the bed. Not only do you have to be elevated, but there are real problems if you don't sleep on your back. You need to sleep on your back. And people say, oh, I can't sleep on my back and I snore and it's so uncomfortable. Yes, it is when you're flat. But when you have like a 30-degree head of bed elevation, the ideal position is like you'd be in a lazy boy recliner type of a thing.
Okay.
So you're leaning back in a recliner, and this is sort of what astronaut chairs look like too, by the way. You lean back, your head is elevated relative to your waist, right? You're at about a 20 to 30 degree incline. 30 degrees is kind of intense. You could do 15 degrees. It's very comfortable. And then your legs are also up because, you're standing all day. And actually what ends up happening is, if you ever notice at the end of the day, some people, their ankles get puffy and their legs are puffy and feet. It's because the blood is, the fluid in your body literally is being pulled down by gravity. We're not exempted from the gravity field we're in, and things move down. Mm-hmm. And so by the end of the day, your head has less pressure. And they know this. They put electrodes in brains and study pressure, okay? They study this stuff. So I'm telling you information that's known. They just don't put it together like I did.
Right.
So I'm giving, the basic science is known, but the implications and telling to people how to prevent disease by doing this is never done. Because there's no money in raising your bed unless you want to buy an adjustable bed. So the bottom line is, that's going to be the bottom line, but I'm going to tell you a lot of ways you can do it. But the important, I want to get into the position. If you sleep on your right side, let's say, mm-hmm. I could tell, because I'm being trained in this now, for like 15 years looking at this and dealing with this issue. I can look at a person's face and I know exactly how they sleep. Unless they've had other problems. Because if you sleep on your side, then your face is being pushed into the pillow. Like, let's say you're a right side sleeper, and you go and curl up on your right side in like a fetal position, okay? Yeah. A common type position. So the right side of your face is leaning into the pillow. And over time, you'll see your nose moving to the left, because it's being pushed that way. And the whole face will be asymmetric, where it'll be slanted. And if you can simulate it by just put your face on your side of your face like you're leaning on a pillow, like put it on your cheek and your eye and your nose and push a little bit, and you'll see it pushes your nose over. It'll push your jaw over, and it actually changes the shape of your skull. And this is known fact as well, because with sudden infant death now, they're having kids sleep on their back because they've known that if you're on your side or on your belly, it increases brain pressure. And if you turn your head to the side, like if you look at your shoulder, as soon as you do that, the muscles are impinging on the veins, draining the brain, and it increases brain pressure. So they've already measured this. So turning your head to the side increases brain pressure and reduces circulation. It's like cutting off your veins.
And so if you do this for a small amount of time, like in a yoga class or something like that, that's probably okay. But you're talking about for sleeping for 8 hours like this.
Yes, every day, all your life. Yes, that's the problem. These are chronic long-term things that add up. Little bit every day. Mm-hmm. And you don't get fully decongested at the end every day, because many people are still sitting, which increases brain pressure, versus standing, because as you can imagine, you're creasing at your waist, it reduces circulation, and actually if you fat even, it increases brain circulation because there's more pressure on the abdomen. So when the blood comes out of the heart, it can go up to the head or down to the rest of the body. And if you have pressure on the rest of the body, it'll go to the head. It's like taking a balloon and squeezing, like a water balloon, and holding it in your hand. If you squeeze one side, it'll go out the other, right? And you squeeze the other side. We're filled with fluid in our tubes in our body that are in a gravity field. And if you put weight and pressure and constriction with clothing or leaning or any pressure on your body, it impairs circulation in that part that's compressed. And then the circulation goes elsewhere. So not only are you cutting down circulation in one place, but you're increasing circulation somewhere else. And in this case, it's the brain. So actually, obese people actually get glaucoma, and from their obesity, because when they're lying down, the weight of their belly on their abdomen pushes the blood up to the head.
Wow, that's really intense. Fascinating connection there.
This is known. This is known stuff, okay?
Yeah.
You never hear about it because this is too simple. They'd rather put shunts in the brain surgically to drain the fluid. And in fact, that's one of the things they've been doing with Alzheimer's. In Alzheimer's, if you look at an Alzheimer's brain, the ventricles in the brain, You know, the brain has like cavities inside of it that the cerebral spinal fluid circulates within, and these cavities are called ventricles. And in an Alzheimer's brain, when you look at them with a CAT scan or an MRI or whatever, you see extremely swollen ventricles, like amazingly swollen, like they have too much fluid in their head. Mm-hmm. So we believe that's the end disease of a lifetime of brain congestion. Because over the years it's pressing and you get plaques, which are dead lesions inside these ventricles, which is from pressure. And it also, if you have pressure inside the brain and these capillaries in the choroid plexus, which is where the cerebral spinal fluid oozes out of the blood capillaries, because there's a blood-brain barrier. You know, the blood doesn't mix with the brain. It oozes out of these very selectively permeable membranes that only allow certain things into the brain. But if these membranes and capillaries are under pressure chronically, then they're going to lose their tight junctions, and you can have things seeping into the brain. So that's why you can get mercury or other heavy metals, aluminum, whatever, into an Alzheimer's brain. It doesn't mean that those are necessarily causing the Alzheimer's. Those heavy metals in the brain could be the result of leaky capillaries from excess brain pressure. So they are part of a process of the brain's mechanism being broken down.
Wow, that's fascinating. We have to take a short break here actually right now. We're going to be right back with Sydney Ross Singer, and this is fascinating information. Who would have known about all these simple connections, but doctors would rather perform some $10,000 surgery on you. So we'll be right back with Sydney Ross Singer right after this break. Don't forget to check out his website, killerculture.com. I have to say, I have been absolutely loving this product by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. If you want to listen to the interview we did with Tristan, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/127. And Qigong is a great way to de-stress the body. And as you know, there's a huge component to disease caused by stress. And stress is a huge factor in how we live our lives and the amount of energy we have and the amount of vitality we have. And so, Dr. Shade, what do you think about Qigong?
People come to me and they're really sick and they got this blown out neurological system and all this toxicity. And I tell them, you need to do Qigong, Tai Chi. You need to do these things that settle down and restore your neurology, because it puts together all the parts. It puts you back into that state where you can start to detoxify. And so I highly, highly recommend all that.
And what about you, Kit Campbell? What do you think about Qigong? Do you like it as well?
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body, and just fantastic.
If you're interested in picking up this Qigong course by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. That's QIGONG. And you can learn more about it. There's a great video on that page, and you can learn more about it on that page. And I highly, highly recommend this product. I love it myself. So go ahead and check that out. extremehealthradio.com/Qigong.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
All right, we're going to stay a couple extra minutes with Mr. Sid Singer. We just asked him off the air if he would be kind enough to do that. This is such good information. I don't know, I just think it really needs to get out there.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And as the lady said, don't forget to sign up to our newsletter. We're giving away an awesome ebook called Lessons from the Miracle Doctors. that I've read, and it's written by John Barron, and it's about 177 pages, chock full of tons of natural cures for things and all kinds of ways, explanations to do enemas and cleanses and all kinds of stuff to get on top of your health. We give it away for free, but it's you can get it for $20 on Amazon. So don't forget to sign up for that, and you'll get our show updates as well. So make sure to check that out. And if you'd like to check out the show that we did with Tristan Truscott, you can listen to that about Qigong on episode 127. I forgot to mention that. And so this information about sleep is just really, really fascinating. And like you said, Sydney, before the break, it's just too simple, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, truth is, it's not meant to be complicated.
Right.
But let me get back to the issue of how you're sleeping, like on your back or on your side, because that's so important. Very few people understand the importance to stay on your back. When you're leaning on your body for 8 hours or so, you get compression injuries, and that's what we're talking about. That affects circulation, it affects nerves. You ever wake up in the middle of the night after sleeping on an arm and your arm is like dead?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Okay. Well, what do you think would happen to your nerve and your arm if you did that regularly for years?
I imagine it would have to atrophy those nerves, right?
And it would make them probably more sensitive over time. You start getting tingling and all sorts of paresthesias and nervous issues. You'd have a neurologic problem. Yeah, and you might even have atrophy. So it's not good for you, obviously. So that's why if you're sleeping on a side, you're leaning on important nerves and arteries and if you're a right side sleeper, and your arm you're leaning, think about what's on the right side of your chest.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Your appendix is down on the right side. So I would love to do a study, which I haven't done yet, of seeing if people who sleep, right side sleepers tend to get appendicitis more. I mean, they're leaning on that part of their body. Wow. And I know that and you can look up positional medicine. I mean, that's a new field that is starting since we've come out with our book, Get It Up, about this. Wow. They're realizing that this is the case, but medicine hasn't picked up on it fully yet. Even sleep guys, when you go to a sleep center to learn about sleep app, they'll look at you sleep. They'll never think about your head position. They don't think about that.
You're kidding
and
me.
If anything, they'll tell you not to sleep on your back because it makes you snore. They don't think when you raise your bed, it changes the actual relationship between your tongue and your throat.
That's crazy.
So it's like at 20 degrees you may not snore, but at 15 degrees you may. And it's a very subtle thing, and everybody's got their own elevation to go to. So if you don't want to certainly be a belly sleeper, because you can't even expand your rib cage properly to breathe when you're on your chest. And you're leaning on your abdomen, so all your stomach contents are going to shoot up your esophagus, and you can give you acid reflux, and can start causing major problems, even give you tooth decay from the acid coming up all night.
Do all these principles hold true for little tiny infants as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
An infant, if you notice, infants love to fall asleep in in a cradle position where their heads are up. Like in little carriers where the kid's head is up.
Yeah.
They'll fall asleep there. You pick them out of that, or they'll fall asleep on your shoulder. And then as soon as you lie them down flat, they'll wake up and start crying. That's because they don't have the power to lift their heads up, and their heads are now getting pressurized, and they get woken by that.
Wow.
They should always be on an incline. In fact, hammocks is what a lot of other cultures put their kids in, and the hammock has the head up. And you put a kid in the hammock, you swing them, they go to sleep, and they're fine. And their heads are up a little bit. You don't want to keep a kid flat, and you certainly don't want to put them on their side or have their heads to the side. But what's interesting is this advice has been changed for SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. It's actually changed the shape of kids, and their heads are getting rounder and flatter on the back, because when you lean on your body, the bones actually change shape with time, especially when you're young, and they're very malleable. And some cultures even band the head to make it shaped like a cone. I mean, the bones can be shaped. Uh-huh. And in our culture, we have this thing about putting kids on their side, like this fear that they're going to vomit and throw and swallow their vomit or something. So we put them on their side or on their bellies, which make them vomit. And then the result is we have elongated heads in the West. And in Eastern cultures, they have a whole different philosophy, and they put the kids on their back. And that's why Eastern people, like Chinese people, they tend to have rounder heads, and they'll have a flat back of their head. You can tell how they're sleeping. If their ears are flattened against your head, then you know you're sleeping on your ear. People whose ears are sticking out more are probably leaning their head in such a way that their ears are being bent outwards. It's that simple. I've seen people's entire dentition, their mouths, teeth. You know, some people, when they sleep, they'll actually put their hands like under their cheek, like, you know, like if you're told your hands for prayer, like put your palms together, and then they put that under their cheek, and they lie down that way. So there's constant pressure on their jaw, and their actual jaw changes shape, and their teeth get totally out of alignment. So orthodontic issues are very much related to sleep position. If your eyes are different and one eye is stronger than the other eye, chances are the bad eye is your down eye that you're sleeping on. And so the bad ear will be the ear you're sleeping on. And so many kids are getting ear infections because they're sleeping on their ears. Wow. If you sleep on your ear, you know, I'm a back sleeper now, for years now, since I've discovered this stuff. If I go in my ear for a few minutes, I feel the pressure. You know, once you get used to being free, it's like with the bra, you know? If you've been wearing one all your life, it's like normal, but as soon as you get rid of it, it's, oh my God, this is what circulation feels like, and I could breathe. How did I ever wear that thing? Right. Well, it's the same with sleeping. Once you learn to sleep right, you're going to wonder how you ever slept any other way. You'll be so uncomfortable. And the thing to realize is everybody is unique. Everybody has their own sleep position needs. Sometimes you might need a 10-degree elevation. Sometimes you might need 20. At the beginning of the night, you might like to be at 20. If you had an adjustable bed, you might want to go down to 15 later. It's different positions for different people depending on your blood pressure, on your brain circulation, on how tight your neck is. Neck adjustments and neck massage would be great to ease up the bottleneck of pressure that will impair brain circulation. So a tight neck and a neck injury can create brain pressure by impairing the drainage from the brain. And keep in mind, if you have a tight neck, the pressure to the brain is higher than the pressure from the brain. So blood will still be delivered, but it won't drain as effectively. So the result will be increased pressure in the brain. Do you understand what I'm saying? The mechanism there?
Yeah, that's interesting. So all of this is covered in your book, Get It Up, right?
Yes, and I also explain other ways of raising your bed, because it's not just buying adjustable beds. For a while we slept in a recliner, but that doesn't give very good lumbar support, lower back support, so you can start getting problems there. If you can put your whole bed on an incline by putting bricks under the head of the bed, under the legs, to make like a 20-degree incline, and then your legs are low and your head is high, like, you know, a total wedge. But then you'll tend to slide down, so you need to put a pillow under your butt and a pillow under your legs, and you could still use your normal pillow. You could try adding extra pillows, but if you just add pillows, then you end up bending your head forward to chin touch your chest type of thing. And if you do that, it actually cuts off your brain circulation. It makes touching your head down to touch your chin compresses the veins in your neck also. So you don't want to do that. You want to have your head like straight. And you know, if you think about it, people used to sleep in hammocks. Even orangutans sleep in hammocks. They would always have their heads up. They wouldn't want to have your ear closed. If there's predators coming, and if you're living in a more primitive situation where you're closer to nature, you got to hear what's going on in your environment. Right. And you can't just close the door with absolute silence and be dead to the world for 8 hours. That's a very modern invention. In a more natural situation, you have to be alert. Even at night, be able to wake up and respond to threats or issues. So you want both eyes open. If you open them, they're both looking. It's not like one is buried into a pillow and you can't even open it for a while. You have to have both ears ready to hear, and you can easily get up without having the orthostatic hypotension I talked about, which I don't get now that I sleep elevated, because my whole blood pressure doesn't get as low as it did. Oh, by the way, I should also mention strokes occur at about 4 a.m. more than any other time, and people die at about that time of the day as well, more than any other time. So people are killing themselves at night by destroying their brains with chronic brain congestion from sleeping too flat.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And now you can understand why I had a hard time with a book title. Because, you know, what do you call something like this? It's all in your bed? Well, that sounds cute, but it doesn't really express the significance of this. You know, you can say, you know, raise your bed, or, I mean, it was, so I called it Get It Up because I have a lousy sense of humor, and and it does affect impotence too, although that wasn't really what it was meant for. But the idea is, this is so big because it affects so many things. We've seen children with attention deficit disorder. They sleep a lot too. They can't keep their attention. They raise their bed, and within like a couple of days, they're a different kid. I'm serious. This is profound.
So do you sleep with a pillow, or what's the deal with the pillow then?
You can use a pillow like normal.
Okay.
It helps to support your neck, and it helps, you can make it so that if you turn your head a little bit to the side, it'll catch your head, so it's comfortable.
Okay.
But the whole bed is slightly elevated, which doesn't mean that there wouldn't be certain times, by the way, there are certain people with low brain pressure who may benefit from things like lying flat on the ground for a little while or doing a headstand with yoga for a little while. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you have to really be intelligent about with yourself and know how you feel and know what works for you. So I'm not trying to say everybody needs to do this, okay? It's that everybody needs to pay attention to this, that the way you sleep is affecting your brain circulation and your body, depending on what you're leaning on and how you're leaning on it. And if you're rolling over all the time and a very fitful sleeper, it's probably because you're not comfortable. Mm-hmm. And body doesn't want to just lean on one thing all the time. And, so you want to try to it's okay to even wake up a little bit in the middle of the night. Get up and stretch. Go to the bathroom, pop, do whatever you do. I do, crack your back and your neck, get your circulation a little bit going for a couple of minutes, then go back to bed again. It's okay to do that. But the pressures of life are such that people feel that they have to sleep a full 8 hours or they'll be really groggy the next day when they have to work. And we have schedules that are very artificial that keep us from really listening to our own rhythm and our own needs. And that feeds into this as well. But
so what would a 10% elevation look like? Like, what would you put under your bed? What do you put under your bed to make that grade level?
If you put take some books and raise the head of your bed 6 inches.
6 inches, okay.
Try 6. You can try more, but I would do a minimum of 6, maybe 10 inches, and you'll feel it. You'll feel it the next morning. And just sleep normal. Just if you have a regular bed with a regular, box spring and, frame, and the frame has legs, then you can just easily put some equal size books under the head of the bed so your head is higher, and give that a try. And try to stay in your back. Even if you don't stay in your back, you'll still feel a little better. The next morning, this is what people will feel. They'll feel less stuffy and congested because your sinuses aren't getting all the pressure. Okay? You allergies that you thought you had might be gone. There won't be that morning stuff. You also will probably sleep less because you won't need it. And you'll be less groggy. You'll be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the morning. You'll I don't have that feeling like I'm still tired and I got to sleep more. And if you had migraines, you won't get them. And it stops apnea, it stops snoring, and it'll make some people, well, you'll see what it does. And it'll, if you have baggy eyes and all of those things in the morning, that'll change. It'll prevent ear infections, and it'll lower your eye pressure. So this shouldn't be wait until you get glaucoma and all these diseases and then think about doing this, okay? This is really prevention. People should be sleeping elevated, like in a hammock, not flat, like on our modern beds. And the older beds, by the way, used to have really bad springs, and they used to sag in the middle, and that gave you more of a hammock-type thing. Now we have very firm mattresses, and people are sleeping flat, like that's good for them, and it's not.
That is so crazy.
Does the inclination when you put the incline on the bed like that, does that help the transition of becoming a back sleeper? Does that make it more natural?
Yes, and it'll make it much easier. So if you think back sleeping has been bad, that's because you were flat. It is very uncomfortable when you're flat.
Yeah.
But if you raise your bed, like if you're in a lazy boy sitting back in a lazy boy recliner, I don't mean to use their name. It's just like a cliche, like Frigidaire.
Right.
But if you're in a recliner like that, are you uncomfortable then?
Right. Yeah. No.
No, it's because you're elevated. So that's the position you want to be in. And a lot of people, they fall asleep in their recliner and then they go to bed. Just stay in your recliner.
Totally.
Yeah. So,
the recliner, yeah.
So sleeping like this, what other implications? Perhaps we should do a part 2 of this because we didn't even get into a ton of other issues. Like different sleep cycles and all this kind of stuff and things to do before. Perhaps we could do a part 2, Sydney, if you're interested. But sleeping like this, what other implications does it have in terms of position for prevention of diseases, like maybe even heart attack, cancer, things like that, some bigger things like that?
Well, for breast issues, if a woman is binding her breasts all day with a bra, then, so she's constricting her circulation, and then she goes to sleep on her side. And let's say she's a right side sleeper. She's leaning on that breast all night. So, first of all, it's going to stretch out her breast, and she'll look at her and wonder, why is my right breast all, going to the side more than the left breast? Why is there asymmetry? Well, here you go. This explains asymmetries. And it also explains why women will get breast cancer in one side versus the other more, because one's going to be bigger than the other. I mean, that's one explanation. Why, one breast, usually the left breast is bigger than the right because the left side of the chest is a little bit bigger to accommodate for the heart. So the left side is a little bit bigger, but bra cups are the same. So you'd expect a little bit more breast cancer in the left breast, which is the case. But if you have a sidedness issue in your own life and you sleep on your right breast all the time, so you're congesting it all day with a bra and then at night you sleep on it, it's like you just going to keep on congesting that thing. So the end product could be more breast cancer in that side. As I said, with anything that you want good circulation, I mean, your legs should be up because they need to drain. And otherwise you're going to get, issues on your feet. That's one thing I don't like about the full bed incline. For people with leg issues, circulatory issues, you don't want your feet down. You really want them up. So it's best to have the recliner type position, or get an adjustable bed, but they cost a couple of grand, if you get an adjustable bed, you can put your legs up and put your head up, and it's very comfortable. It's just made for that kind of a thing.
Wow, would that be the most ideal situation? Is that what you have?
I don't have that myself. No, I've tried so many things to get this right, and I'm going to warn you right now that changing your sleep position is going to be one of the most difficult things you're going to do.
I imagine.
And that's why this issue is probably one of the reasons it's ignored. It's like changing bra wearing. These are culturogenic diseases. It's built in. And we are trained to sleep a certain way because our beds are a certain way. Even when they sell adjustable beds, they show people eating in the bed adjusted or watching TV with the bed up.
Yeah.
But when they go to sleep, the bed's flat and they're on their side. It's like we have a cultural thing about sleeping in fetal position on the side. That's when you ever see people sleeping in a sleep commercial or a bed commercial, that's the way they'll be. So we have a cultural bias towards that. And when you learn it as a kid in a certain way because your parents didn't know and they put you down the way that they did, that becomes your norm. That becomes normal. And it's very hard to change simply because that's your warm, comfy feeling. It's a warm, cozy, after a day in the jungle, you go in bed and you're like, oh, I'm escaping from the world. I'm going back in the womb. And you just want to get away from it all. And you're like, go back into your child. And you can't do that if you're not on your back. You got to learn to be aware, to keep yourself like one part of your brain self-aware, even while you're sleeping, enough that when you wake up in the middle to roll over, you think to yourself, oh, I got to stay on my back. And I tell you, it is a challenge, but it is so rewarding. I think this is the biggest cause of so many diseases that are considered separate diseases, because that's the way medicine categorizes them.
Right.
But they have the same cause. It's the sleep position issue. And it's certainly, if it isn't causing all of these conditions, in some cases, it's contributing to them for sure. Because if you have a predisposition to bad circulation, you certainly don't want to do this too, to your brain. You want to keep your brain circulating, and it has to have slight elevation for circulation. It's a simple mechanical issue that NASA understands very well.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Sydney, for being on the show. And
let me make a suggestion. If you want to have a follow-up show,
yes, that would be
why
excellent.
don't you guys both do this experiment?
Okay.
Raise your beds. Try to sleep. Are you both back sleepers now, or are you? How do you sleep right now? Because I want to know if it's a real change, a real challenge, or not.
I'm on my right side, fetal.
Yeah, and I sleep. I go to sleep on my back, and sometimes I'll wake up and then go to sleep on my right side as well.
Justin, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sometimes I'll sleep on my back. Most of the time on my back, and then probably 30% of the time on my side.
Okay. And when you look at each other's noses, are your noses straight or do they bend a little bit? If you look at your nostril, I'm just curious. If you look at your nostrils, if you're a right side sleeper, Kate, then I would imagine your right nostril is a little more compressed than your left. They're different shape. And your nose goes a little bit towards the left side. Is that true or not? I could be wrong.
Slightly. I'm looking at her slightly.
Slightly with you too.
Okay. Yeah.
Slightly. I'm talking slight. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're young yet. As you get older, it'll go further. You know,
right.
Yeah,
it melts to the side. So by the time you're old, your body has. You look at an old person, you know what they've been doing all their lives to their bodies.
Right.
I'm totally up for that challenge because, I mean, after your last interview you were on, Sid, I ditched my bra, and I mean, it was so motivating, and it's changed my life. So the sleep thing, I mean, I'm up for it. Let's do it.
I lost you when you said it was so, Kate. I'm sorry.
Oh, it was just so cool.
Again, I'm losing you.
Are you there?
Are you still there?
I'm still here, but I just heard you. I didn't hear Kate at all.
Okay, excellent. Let's try.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, cool. I was just saying the last interview we had you on.
Oh, I lost you again.
Okay. You can tell him, Jeff.
Yeah, it's so weird. The last interview that you were on.
Kate, I can't hear you. I'm so sorry. I wish I heard what you said.
Can you hear me, Sydney?
I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Kate was just saying the last time you were on, she ditched her bra.
But what happened? What were her feelings since then?
Oh, she felt amazing.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I'm up for your challenge.
Yeah, so I think we're completely up for this challenge. I think it would be really great to share with our listeners as well.
And if you have any other friends or family members that have specific health conditions like attention deficit or glaucoma, if you look at Get It Up, I really recommend people get the book Get It Up because it has a lot of important information. There's a lot of other diseases that are affected by this, seizures and Parkinson's, and there's a whole, in so many conditions, it starts by having the brain dysfunctioning, which is associated with excess brain pressure. They've looked at that in they're all associated with excess brain pressure. And they don't know the cause. So this is either the cause or is exacerbating another cause. But I believe this is the major cause of excess brain pressure, which we do to each other every day, to ourselves every day. But if you can get some people with other health problems to try this, it'll be really interesting to see the various responses that we get from people, and then I'll come back on and we can talk about it because that'll be really fascinating.
Yeah, that would be really, really great because, as you know, this show is mainly about the anatomy and the physiology of sleep, but it would be interesting to talk about some other issues. There's a ton of other issues, as you know, that go along with sleep that would be fun to explore with you. So,
sure.
Let's schedule another show and do a part 2 and get into some other deeper information. I think that would be amazing for people.
Well, that's great. And if they want to try a self-study, on my website, killerculture.com, the self-study center is part of that, and they can go and it'll describe how to raise your bed, how to deal with all of this, and what to look for, and it'll repeat a lot of what I said today and give you more information. And there's also articles on killerculture.com about the way your sleeping may be killing you. So I get that and get my book, Get It Up, and I think it'll change your life.
That's great. And can people get that book as an ebook if they would like?
Yes, they can, off of Killer Culture.
Oh, great. Okay. And also, so you mentioned we'll try this at home. So we'll do the 6 inches off the head of the bed, and right. We'll try that. And next time we talk, we can discuss it.
Sounds good. And give it a month and see how you feel after a month.
Excellent.
But you should feel something within days. And if you want to try to change it and make it a little higher and to experiment, that's great. And once you do that, though, you'll find that if you try to lie flat again, you'll be aware of head pressure. You'll be like, so whoa, I feel that now. It's just learning to be sensitized. And it is so subtle. It's like if you tip something just to the tipping point, it'll flow over versus not. And you will find the tipping point for your own brain circulation by experimenting. And it might be different for you and Kate. So people that sleep in the same bed have to adjust for one another. I use 2 pillows, and my wife uses one as a way because she doesn't need as much elevation. So we raise our bed like 15 degrees and adjust for the rest with pillows. But you might have to do that too, because both of you might have a different preference for your head elevation.
That's so interesting. And by chance, do you know what 6 inches, what percentage of an incline that would be?
It's about a 15 degree, I believe.
For about 6 inches? Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah. 6 inches is how many degrees, Soma? About a 15, yeah.
15,
and so you can do more than 15. I mean, you can go as high as 30. I mean, and that's what they found, by the way, by NASA. NASA found that optimal brain pressure and heart works better elevated as well.
Okay, wow.
So, I mean, they study this stuff, but they don't talk to the clinician guys. This is space medicine. It's a different subspecialty of medicine. Yeah. So they don't even talk to the other guys.
Yeah, we don't get access or privy to this kind of information, do we?
Yes, and all your listeners, they're going to love you for this.
Oh, this is great. And, okay, so we'll direct people to killerculture.com. as well as selfstudycenter.org. And don't forget to follow Sid Singer on Facebook as well, and check out his website, especially his book, Get It Up, which I'll put a link to all this stuff on our page as well, extremehealthradio.com/162. So thank you so much, Sid, for being on the show. What a great time we had. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Justin and Kate. Talk to you again soon.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so what did you think of Sid Singer? Do you like him?
Well, I think my bed's going to be 6 inches to 12 inches high in the air. That's what I think.
Oh, my God.
Thanks to Sid Singer.
You know what we should do? We should get a Faraday cage, a pyramid, perhaps, what else do we need to do?
Grounding sheets. Crystals under our beds.
Crystals under the beds. Magnetic mattress pads.
Oh, that's right. Naked sleeping. With our bed at a full angle.
Biomat.
Biomat. That's right, underneath the...
Oh, my gosh.
I have to say, though, like, he challenged the women of the world with the anti-bra wearing, and, you know, like I said, I totally gave up mine after that show and haven't looked back, except for the bra that I wear from Michelle at Organics.
Oh, yeah.
We had her on a little bit ago, because it actually is one that lets your lymphatic system properly work as you wear your bra. But yeah, I'm excited to try the experiment with the bed. I think starting to sleep on your back is going to be a challenge.
Yes. I've done that before, and it's really difficult to bust through the temptation to try to roll over, isn't it?
Yeah, because I sometimes start out on my back and it feels really great, and then I always end up turning.
I shouldn't say difficult, I should say challenging.
It's challenging, you're right.
It's a challenge.
Watch your wording.
So you think it's challenging as well?
I do. I think it is, but I think that having the bed at an angle is going to help. Like he said, it just kind of facilitates a little bit easier of a time going into that new pattern.
We also have to turn off our electrical devices and all of our electricity to our house, which is what some people do.
For when you sleep?
What we need to do really, I think, is just sleep outside on the ground.
And then have
moonlight.
chickens wake us up
right?
in the morning, pecking and
yeah,
chuckling. What do you say that?
Next to a waterfall. I think that
chuckling.
might be the best situation.
Chickens don't chuckle. What do chickens do? Roosters, they, what's that noise they make? Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Yeah.
We don't have any waterfalls around here. In Hawaii, we would if we lived by Sid Singer.
I think that might be the best case scenario.
Yeah, there's a lot to this whole sleep thing, isn't there? More than anyone ever knew.
Yeah.
It's how Daniel Vitalis is about the water. Every time you're like, or air or whatever, fire, you're like, how is there this much to talk about one subject and not even touch on it completely?
Yeah.
Just scratch the surface.
And sleeping with no clothes on, I'm not used to that. That might be kind of a difficult thing to do. Challenging thing to do.
Challenging.
No.
Yeah.
But they say if you're out in the wilderness and you get stranded, it's better to sleep. You stay warmer, I guess, if you sleep with no clothes on. Have you heard that?
I have heard that, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just counterintuitive because you think if you go to bed with more clothes on, you'll be warmer, but especially in the winter months. But I don't know.
That's probably not true if you're trapped in the snow, though. If you're like on the snow, you think that would freeze your body more than having clothes between you and the snow. I don't think, why are we even having this conversation? But yeah, I do think that sleeping without any clothes on is a better way to go, even though it's counterintuitive.
Yeah. Well,
Sleeping. I'm going to go to bed. Bye.
Yeah, it's time to go to sleep. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Sid Singer. That is episode number 162. And I'm curious if you guys have any interesting things that you do with your sleep. Please comment in the box at the bottom. Mm-hmm. Let us all know what you guys do, because a lot of people do some crazy things. I remember David Wolf years back talked about he used to sleep on this bed that was suspended in the air. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, you told me.
So there's all kinds of things people do. If you have any tricks, let us know.
If you sleep in a hammock.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to know if people sleep opposite. Well, yeah, like there's a whole bunch of people who don't sleep with pillows and think that's the best way, you know, like.
Right.
So many different opinions out there.
Yeah, I've
tried to do that for a while, actually.
Yeah, and there's what was I going to say? There's some other things people do with sleep. Some people do, there's so much more to. Actually, when we get him back on, we'll talk to him a lot about some other issues with sleep.
Cool.
There's lots of good stuff. So if you enjoyed this episode, please do us a favor and pass it on to your friends if you know of anybody who has sleep issues or anything like that. We're going to do a second interview with Sid and talk to him further about sleep, because we really just basically got into the anatomy of it today.
Yeah.
And the physiology and the clothing that we wear and stuff like that. But There's so much more to talk about.
Yep, we will bust into another episode with him, I believe, in December, correct?
December, that's
Perfect.
Right. So check this out, extremehealthradio.com/162. And please don't forget to follow us on Facebook and sign up to our newsletter. We'd love to have you join our community and stay up to date with our shows. And those are two great ways to do that. And if you ever want to support us, like we said at the beginning, you can do that through Amazon or go to our store. We have lots of really, really great, really unique products on there too. I think really, really great stuff that I think that you're not going to find at most health food stores, things like that. So check out our store as well if you want to support us. And if there's ever anything we could do for you, just let us know, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even as you educate yourself in the field of live food nutrition and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers or listeners medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog and during this podcast is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any of the information on this podcast or in this blog, or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content